Hello everybody, this is Jermain Miller, 3 times best-selling author, the founder of Mill Real Estate and the CEO of Jermain Miller Consulting. I'm excited to be in front of you guys today, celebrating not just the beginning of a new year, but the beginning of a purpose-filled life. You know, the last year has hit all of us hard. We've been challenged by COVID. We've been challenged by the economic disasters. We've been challenged by pretty much every and anything. But here's what Robert Schuller once said: tough times don't last, but tough people do. And you've been tough. If you've made it over here this year, there's a lot of people who did not make it, but you are here. But I want to talk to you today about your dreams and goals, because a lot of us, because of everything that's been going on in the world today, we've left our goals parked. We've left our goals on the sideline, and we're no longer focused on our dreams and our ideas. Here's what I want you to do for 2021. I want you to decide, not just decide, but actually decide to live the life of your dreams. You know, just because you had adversity, just because there's been some circumstances, here's what I want you to know: circumstances only reveal who you are to yourself. So even in the midst of all of this, there are people still winning. There are people still living, but most importantly, people are still looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, you know what? If this adversity, if this challenge, if this event did not occur, I wouldn't be in the position to wake up and win. So for 2021, here's what I want you to do. First, I want you to decide what it is that you want out of life. You know, we don't get what we want because we never decide what it is that we do want. We only decide what we do want after what we don't want appears. So I want you to decide what is it that you want. And if you don't know, let me help you. Decide what you want to have, decide who do you want to be, and ultimately decide what do you want to accomplish for 2020. Here's what I want you to understand about goals. A goal will cause you to become a different type of person in order for you to achieve it. Let me repeat that for you. A goal will cause you to become a different type of person in order for you to achieve it. You know, during COVID, I found myself in one of the most traumatic times, just like everybody else. And I found myself watching CNN, MSNBC, all of the constant negative news that was going on at those times. I was engulfed and engaged in what's going on in society, what's going on in this house, what's going on in that house, that I was forgetting to take care of what was important, and that was what was going on in my house. So I decided one day, you know what, I'm not going to continue to look at the news anymore. I'm going to turn it off. And right before I was getting ready to turn off the news, here's what happened. And it was one of the most dramatic things that turned my life around. The cameraman zoomed in on someone sleeping on a bench. And I want you to understand something. He wasn't just sleeping on a bench, but he had covers pulled over his eyes. He didn't have just covers pulled over his eyes. His covers were pulled over his eyes in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the riots, in the midst of the looting, in the midst of everything that was going on. Covers were pulled over his eyes. And it caused me to ask myself this question. And I want you to ask yourself this question as well. Am I laying somewhere physically, mentally, and spiritually with the covers pulled over my eyes? In the midst of one of the most dramatic seasons of our life, am I laying somewhere on a mental bench and I'm not doing anything for myself? I want you to think about this today as you look at your goals and as you look at your dreams. Can you accomplish, or what can you accomplish now in the midst of one of the most trying times of our life? You know, Henry David Thoreau once said, if a man advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life that he's imagined, he would meet with success, unexpected, in common hours. Why is this so powerful? We have to have a dream. We have to have a goal, and that's the only way we can advance confidently in that direction. So if we don't have our dreams lined up, If we don't have our goals lined up, we won't be confident. And you know what's so funny about goals? Goals are incredible. They want you to become a different type of person in order in order for you to achieve them. What that basically means is this level of thinking that's got me here is not the same level of thinking that's gonna get me to achieve my goals. My goal won't come down to get me. I have to rise up to get to my goals. So today I want you to decide, what is it that you want? Let me repeat that for you. What do you want to have? Who do you want to be? And ultimately, what is it that you want to accomplish? The next thing I want you to do for 2021 is write your goals down. A lot of us aren't achieving our goals because they're not written anywhere. It's not on a piece of paper. We can't hold ourselves accountable to our goals anywhere because somewhere in our mind, we assume that we remember our goals. You know, in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's great book, here's what he said. You have to consciously over and over plant the good that you desire. Over and over, you got to auto-suggest your dreams, auto-suggest your goals. And if you're not doing that, the weeds will take the garden. Well, Jermaine, how do you do that? You have to write them down. You have to see yourself in possession of your dreams. See yourself in possession of the goals until they actually manifest and materialize for themselves. I want you to write your goals down. And this year, I don't want you to write your goals down any other way but this way. As though it was impossible for you to fail. Let me repeat that for you. Write your goals down this year as though they were impossible for you to fail. You know, sometimes we don't accomplish our goals and dreams. It's not that we can't. We're just focused on the how to. I want you to write your goals down this year. The next thing I want you to do after you write your goals down for 2021, I want you to organize a list. Why do you want to organize a list? So that you don't spend the dominating portion of your day going after 15 goals. You know, one of the main reasons why we don't accomplish our New Year's resolutions every single year is because we have too many of them and we're spending all of our energy on 10 and 20 and 30 different things that we actually never materialize anything. And what tends to happen is we have what they call rollover goals. The last 10 or 15 years of our life, we just been rolling over these goals. So these goals are no longer inspiring to us. You know, I was watching a story the other day, National Geographic, powerful story. It was about zebras. And the interesting thing about these zebras in Africa is every single year they go through what they call one of the largest migrations ever. I mean, every single year. And here's why they're going through those migrations every single year. The reason is because they're going from one part of the land that's drying up to getting to the next part of the land that has prosperity. A lot of us do that every single year. No longer want to be in the dry season. We want to get to the land of prosperity. But along the journey, here's what the zebras had to deal with. They had to deal with lions. They had to deal with hyenas. They had to deal with tigers and everything that was on that journey to help take them away from ultimately what their real goal was. But here's what I want you to understand that was so powerful about these zebras. These zebras got to the river and they realized something. They realized that they couldn't swim. But here's what else they realized. They realized that there were some crocodiles in the water. And sometimes in life, that's exactly what we do. We actually get through the tigers. We actually get through the lions. We actually get through the hyenas. But when the water starts to turn up and we see that we actually can't get through what we think we can get through, we start asking ourselves this question. Maybe this prosperity is not what I really want for myself. Maybe these dreams and these goals is not what I really want for myself. And maybe I should turn back and go to that land that's dry. And a lot of us do that. And for years, we're going after our dreams and our goals. And the moment that it gets difficult, we throw in the towel. But here's what these zebras did. And I want you to pay attention to this. These zebras had a goal. And sometimes in life, Your goal has to be so large that in the midst of the trying times, they become a magnet to you and they pull you through those difficult times. So while these zebras make it finally to the river and the crocodiles are in the river and they know it. A lot of us, we know that adversity is going to be there. We know that circumstances are going to be there. And here's what we do. We focus on the adversity. We focus on the circumstances and we never focus on our dreams and our goals. So these zebras, they jump in the water and they gave it everything they had because guess what? Their goal was much larger than where they are. And that's what I want you to think about today. I want you to think about your purpose. I want you to think about your passion. I want you to think about why you showed up in this world and what are you willing to accomplish while you're here. And that's what threw those zebras in the water, I believe. They jumped right in and they knew they couldn't swim. Here's what else they also knew. That the water was going to rise as high as their noses. And sometimes that's exactly what happens to us. The adversity, the challenges, the obstacles, man, it gets crazy and it gets so high and we can't see it. That's why you got to be able to hold the thing in your mind until it materializes in your world. But you can't do that if you don't spend no time with your goals and dreams. So these zebras, they get in the water and some of them make it. But here's what happens. The ones that didn't make it, they started to analyze. And here's what they started to analyze. That they were in the water and that the crocodiles were there. Those were the ones who overanalyzed until they became paralyzed. They were the ones who stayed there until they became a casualty. We can't do that anymore for 2021. I want you to decide what you want and understand that we were never given the vision for the journey. We were only given the vision for the dream. Let me repeat that for you. We're not given the vision for the journey because if we were given a vision for the journey, we would have to see the broke nights, the sleepless nights, the health scares, the unfortunate circumstances. And guess what? We wouldn't want to go through that to get to the dream. We would say, you know what? I want some other dream. So we're not given the vision for the journey. We're given a vision for the dream, which means that in the midst of your circumstances, yes, you, the person who's sitting here today watching this, even in the midst of your circumstances, you got to stay focused on the dream. You got to stay focused on the goal. But most importantly, you got to stay focused on your purpose. And these zebras, they made it to the prosperity land. And here's why they made it to the prosperity land. Because in the midst of the challenge, their purpose to getting to prosperity outweighed the crocodile. Whew, that's powerful. So for 2021, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write your goals down. First and foremost, I want you to decide. You got to decide. That's very important. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to write your goals down. The third thing I want you to do is I want you to organize a list because this is the year that we can't continue going after a bunch of things and not accomplishing nothing. We need to show something for this year instead of rolling over our goals. But here's what I want you to do, and this is the last thing I want to share with you. We got to take some action. You know, Shakespeare once said, our doubts are traitors, and they make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. In other words, we don't fail in doing. Listen, every one of you today that's watching this, you have infinite potential. You got power. You got purpose. It's all trapped in you, man. But here's what happens. Our doubts are traitors. And every time we get ready to step out there and go after our dream, our inner conversations are causing us to walk in a completely opposite direction of our dreams and our goals, and we never get there. Here's why we never get there. Because when we decide on a dream, when we decide on a goal, we got a small gap, and that gap is action. And if we don't take action right away, you know, they talk about that word procrastination. If we're hesitant, and we don't take action, and let me tell you why we don't take action. The reason why we don't take action is because the consequence don't hit us right away. Listen, if you didn't go after your dream today, guess what happens? Nobody's gonna say anything to you. Life is not gonna say anything to you, and nobody else is gonna say anything to you. If you don't go after your dream tomorrow, Life is not going to say anything to you, and neither is anybody else is going to say anything to you. But here's what George Bernard Shaw once said, and it was so powerful. They asked George Bernard Shaw, hey man, if you had the chance to live your life over again, what would you do? And he said, I would be the man I could have been, but I never was. And I want you to think about that today, because many of us, we're not rising to the highest level of life because of fear, because of procrastination, and ultimately because we're not believing what's possible for others is also possible for us. So I want you to take some action today. And in you taking action, that's going to cause you to no longer doubt yourself. Here's what I want you to do. As you look at your dreams and as you look at your goals today, I want you to really think about how life would be for you if you were able to accomplish that dream. If you were able to accomplish that goal that you really, really want. Sometimes, as we think about the zebras, sometimes in life, you know what, man? Our goals may not be as inspiring to us as they once were. And that's okay. It's okay to take a self-evaluation and say, you know what? Maybe I don't want to go back to school. Maybe I don't want to be in this relationship no more. Maybe I'm just not good at this business and I should be doing something else. We have to take evaluation. So I want you to self-reflect today, as if you were walking in a building and right smack on the wall, you see you are here. I want you to ask yourself this question today. Where am I? Because if I'm going to get to the level of life that I want to live, where there's peace and love and joy and happiness and health and abundance, I got to know where I am. I got to know that this is an area that I have to work on. I got to know that this is an area that I need to take action on. I got to know that this is what I need to do to work on myself. You know, I was watching Rocky the other day. It's an incredible series, Rocky 1 through 5. I'm binge watching Rocky. It was a phenomenal time. I'm sitting here, other times I'm on the couch spilling popcorn and juice, but for some strange reason, I'm locked in this time. And it was interesting because Rocky had just lost the fight to Apollo Creed. And Apollo Creed got beat down by this underdog. But everybody's starting to know who Rocky is. Rocky was this underdog. He was this bum on the street. But now he's got some fame. And he's in the hospital now. And his wife, Adrian, just gave birth to their first son. And he's supposed to be in the ring training for his second match with Apollo Creed. But instead, Rocky's focused on Adrian being in a hospital unconscious, and he's not giving life his all. And every day he's at the gym, but he's not really there emotionally. He's not really there mentally. And Mickey, his trainer, is yelling at him. He's like, listen, man, you don't understand. You're getting ready to get another shot at this thing, and you're not giving it your all. And sometimes that's what happens to us. Life has a tendency of throwing us a curveball, whether it's with your divorce, whether it's with your family, whether it's with COVID, whether it's the business, whatever it is, life will throw you a curveball. And that's what life did for Rocky. But here's what Rocky did. He kept, by his own inner conversations, not really believing this fight, even though it was the second fight for him, was really worth it. So every day he's in the hospital with Adrian, and it's wearing at him. It's tearing at him. And sometimes here's the drama. The drama is we actually know things are going to get better. We know that deep down inside. But our conversations that are coming out of our mouth is totally opposite than what's going on deep down inside. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start aligning your conversations with what you really want to happen, so that when what you want to happen, you could actually celebrate it. But here's what Rocky was doing. Pacing back and forth in the hospital, afraid, fearing, worried. He's in doubt. My wife is unconscious. I should be celebrating, but my wife is unconscious. Finally, and I'm going to leave you with this. Adrian wakes up. Rocky's at a bedside. The first thing she says to him was, Rocky, you look exhausted. And sometimes that's what happens to us. COVID got us exhausted. The divorce has got us exhausted. The pain has got us exhausted. The children has got us exhausted. The job has got us exhausted. And while we think we're actually functioning, we're never going to the place to get refueled. And Adrian is looking at him, man, you look exhausted. And Rocky's like, no, I'm fine. And that's what we keep telling people. No, I'm fine. But deep down, we're exhausted, man. We're exhausted. And so Rocky is looking at Adrian. And the moment he can talk about the fight, here's what he says. You know, Adrian, I've been thinking maybe I shouldn't fight again. Maybe I can get a job. Maybe. And that's exactly what we do. In the midst of the most trying times of our life, we forget our dream. We're willing to walk away from the goal. We're willing to throw in a towel. And that's exactly what Rocky was willing to do. His life was right in front of him. Everything he worked for and prayed for, it was right in front of him, and he's ready to throw in the towel. But here's what Adrian did. As I was watching this movie, it turned my life around. Adrian said, come here. And Rocky, in the middle of his conversation, Adrian says, come here. And he leans forward to her. She goes, I want you to do something for me. And he looks at her and he goes, what is that? And she said, I want you to win. And he was startled. And she looked at him again and she said, I want you to win. And that's what I want you to do for 2021. Listen, I know this has been one of the most trying times. I've been through it myself. I seen it with my own eyes. But I had to talk to that small voice that kept continuing to tell me that I should not go after my dreams because of the economy. I should not go after my dreams because of the broken relationship. I should not go after the life that I want to live because of COVID. Here's what I want you to do today. I want you to stand up to that inner conversation and say, no, I still believe I can win. You have something special. You got purpose in you. This is Jermain Miller. It's been an honorable pleasure to stand in front of you all, great ones. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all 2021. Listen, I want you to go grab a couple of my books, Wake Up and Win, Wake Up and Live, Unshakable Focus on Amazon. It's been a pleasure to see you guys, and I hope to see you guys all in 2021 the way I see you, prospering.